How we doing? How we doing? How we doing, guys? Welcome to the Exact Talk Podcast. I'm your host, Ovalez. Welcome to episode 131. I hope you guys are having a lovely, lovely Tuesday morning. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, follow me on all my socials, and hit the comments. Clips will be going up more frequently from now on. I've been slacking, I know. And I want to get you these clips out to you guys, even if they're just literal clips of the actual podcast with, some captions to give you guys more content and more streamlined content, so you don't have to watch the, if you want a quick overview of what I'm talking about, or you want to, go back to one of my takes or something like that, you have the clips there for reference. So NASCAR finished today because of rain. We're back up to Formula One this weekend at Zandvoort, with a very interesting outlook for the rest of the season. Baseball is ratcheting it up. People are falling. People are gaining. It is tight for the next 6 weeks. It's gonna be tight, especially in the NL, and especially for both wild cards. NCAA opening weekend is this week 0. Starts in Dublin, Ireland. Grab a goblet. Solange. That's Georgia Tech versus FSU. That's going to be interesting. We'll look at the other opening games that we got, but week 1 is officially next week is when the big boys start to play. We're going to go through today NFC and AFC. We're going to go division by division. We're going to talk about each team, what possibilities that they have for this season. Yes, we're going to roast. There is some roasting to be done. We're going to talk about the rookie quarterbacks. We're going to talk about the rookie receivers. We're talking about Patrick Mahomes behind the back pass and why it doesn't surprise me, because if you've been paying attention to Patrick Mahomes' practice clips over the last few years, he's been wanting to do that play. And, of course, we're going to talk about the Steelers probably, most likely, being awful at offense once more this season in a division where they could not afford to be. But first, Tyler Reddick. Listen, I know that I said Hendrick would come back to the front. They did. Chase Elliott yesterday and today led a lot. So did Kyle Larson, William Byron. So Hendrick was in the mix. So was Gibbs. Hamlin crashed yesterday, but Martin Truex had a great car. Christopher Bell for a time had a great car. The other 20 guy from 2311, Bubba Wallace, had a good car. So it was basically between Hendrick, 2311, which is the 45 at Tyler Reddick, and Bubba Wallace in the 23, which is the team owned by Michael Jordan, by MJ, and Denny Hamlin, and then Gibbs. And that was your front most of the time. Michigan is an interesting track because it runs like a super speedway, so it runs like a Daytona and a Talladega when it comes to speed, but doesn't have as high of a banking and it's not as long. It's 2 miles instead of 2.5, which that's why I call it a super speedway if it's 2.5. But they hit speeds of 205 in the draft. And it's a very fun race and a fun racetrack because people can pass there by themselves, just slingshot each other out of corners and into straightaways, and they can draft. But the worst thing is, in order to get the best aerodynamics in the car, they have to lower the air pressures. And boy, did we see a bunch of tire failure, especially at the end of the race today when it was hotter. It had been raining the whole weekend, so they ran a little bit, but the track was green, which means like water had gone through it and basically cleaned it and cooled it off. But once it got hot again today, tires started going down left and right. Then fuel became an issue. Could you get enough fuel to make it to the end? And then even at the end, you think, You had Tyler Reddick in the front. You had William Byron. You had Martin Truex Jr., Kyle Busch, Kyle Larson. So, one big crash happened right before 3 to go. So around like 4 to go. Kyle Larson got in it, and Logano blew a tire. So a lot of contenders in that crash got damaged and stuff like that. So they couldn't really like finish the race how they wanted to. But it became a shootout between Hendrick and 2311 and Gibbs. It was basically Tyler Reddick. It was Tyler Reddick. Actually, let me just. Why? I just don't. I could look for the order. Like, why do I have to strain myself to find an answer? I could just go to ESPN and see the order. Yeah. So Tyler Reddick, William Byron, and Ty Gibbs, Kyle Busch, and Brad Keselowski. Kyle Busch still looking for that first win of this season to keep his streak of 19 years with a win and record to keep going. But Reddick, he only led 15 laps, and it was the last 15 laps of the race. I mean, basically, William Byron led 20, Kyle Busch led 24. Like, the leaders, in reality, of who led the most laps was, Chase Elliott, 15th, 29 laps led. You had Blaney with 15. You had Martin Truex Jr. finishing 24th with 28 laps led. You had Kyle Larson that crashed out late in the race, 41 laps led, really dominated the race. And, so like I said, like Hendrick was in it, especially Larson, who was my pick, but stuff happens, But it was a great race, and excited for the playoffs to start in NASCAR. There's only like two races left before the countdown starts, before the playoffs start, so it's going to be exciting. All right, now let's talk about a little bit before we get into the NFC East and the AFC East. Let's talk about NCAA opening weekend. We've made it. We've made it to football season officially. The first week we got Florida State, Georgia Tech in Dublin. I'm going Florida State there. I can't talk about a lot coming into a college season because there's so many changes, so many transfers and stuff like that. So I'm looking for who is going to start at quarterback. It doesn't even say. It literally just says the odds and everything like that. It doesn't even have an overview or nothing. So I'm going to give you guys my pick. As we get further into the season, I start seeing games and seeing what these schools have, then I could talk a little bit more. And we have a 12-team playoff this year, first ever. We have the conference realignment, so we have a lot to get to, and it's going to be exciting. But Saturday we got Florida State, Georgia Tech on ESPN at 12. I'm going Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech is preseason number 10. I'm going Florida State, preseason number 10 in the country. I expect them to be really good. So, from getting left out of the 4 last year, even though they were undefeated, we felt bad about it, but, it happened. It happened. ACC is kind of a weaker conference at this point. So, and then next Thursday, we could talk about it now, but, we'll talk about it next Thursday as well. You got I believe it's Western Carolina versus NC State, Missouri versus Murray State, Lindenwood versus Kansas, Southern Utah versus Utah. Friday, you got Temple versus Oklahoma, so the first time we get to see Oklahoma. Clemson, Georgia is probably the best game, I would say, next week. Number 14 versus number 1 in Georgia. Other than that, Miami versus Florida is going to be interesting. Miami's 19 overall right now. Alabama's going against Western Kentucky. Notre Dame, Texas A&M will be a nice 7 versus 20 matchup next Saturday at 7:30. Michigan on the hunt to defend their crown with Sharon Moore at the helm against Fresno State at home. And then Sunday you have USC LSU at 7:30. So that's going to be a very interesting game. LSU 13th in the country, USC 23. So big matchup there. Remember, it's 12 teams. So I think of the days of having one loss and killing you, I think that's over. I think those days are over. Like having literally one loss, last game of the season, and that's it. You're out. Like no, I think that you can possibly have 1 to 2 losses this year and make it in. Maybe 3. It is 12 teams, but there is some good teams. There is some stacked conferences, and I believe a lot of conferences are going to put multiple teams in, like the Big Ten, like the SEC. I expect multiple teams to be in there. Okay. We could talk about Formula One Thursday. Let's talk about the NFC East. Philadelphia. What are we looking to prove in Philadelphia? Well, we're still on the prowl for the return to Super Bowl form from Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, that defense, especially tackling. We're got to see if Sirianni is the guy right for the job. At this point, like, people are questioning him, and, you know, rightfully so, that you fell off a cliff last year. Your tackling went awry. I mean, it went to shit. You couldn't tackle a fly. They were breaking tackles on you just laughing. You didn't get whiffs. Is Jalen Hurts fully healthy? With the Jalen Hurts fully healthy, now we see that guy again. Jason Kelce retiring. Big thing for the offensive line, the continuity. New guy snapping the ball to Jalen. You know, having Saquon there, I see it as a bonus. Some people may see it as a detriment. I feel it as a bonus. The kid's young. He's gonna add a different dynamic to that offense. They did have DeAndre Swift before, but I think that I see a Saquon as a special type of talent, and in a offense with an A.J. Brown, a Devontae Smith, a quarterback that can run like Jalen, and a good offensive line, because it's still good. You still have Landon Johnson, and you know, you have Mailata, you have your guys still. You know, just Kelce, it's just not there. Landon Dickerson, Lane Johnson, but I just think Saquon will take advantage of this, especially against the Giants, especially against the Cowboys. Like, I just feel like this offensive line, you're going to see Saquon go back to Penn State Saquon when his offensive line was pretty good and he could hit holes and use his vision. I expect a big season from Saquon. For Philly, though, man, if you ask me, for them, this division is served up on an absolute platter. I don't want to hear about the Giants. I don't want to hear about Dallas and their issues. The only team that I could see as a scary team is Washington, because Jaden Daniels looks damn good. And even then, they need the defense to click. So if I'm picking a favorite for the division, barring any injuries, it would be Philadelphia. The clear front runner in this division, I don't think it's even close. You know, I think that A.J. Brown will have a good season. I think Jaylen Brown will have a great season. I'm seeing if Jordan Carter and Jalen Carter and Davis will have a good season in the middle and the interior. I want to see Nolan Smith have a good season. I know who will have a good season. Bryce Huff. He's going to be the number one edge rusher in that defense. I expect them, you know, I expect them to be really good, especially in the NFC. If we go to the roster, their rookie is Anais Smith at wide receiver. We have to see how he could be their number 3 receiver. So can Johnny Wilson. Dallas Goedert, CJ Uzama might, Obi Nwukum, but people are going to get cut. These are not the 53. On defense is what I'm looking for. So you still have Brandon Graham. Bryce Huff, I think, is going to be their number 1 pass rusher. Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis, I expect them to really pop this year. Toi Pelotu, pretty good. Oren Burks, pretty. Nakobe Dean, I expect a jump from you. I expect good things from the rookie Jalix Hunt. And then Nolan Smith, Jr., I expect big things from coming him off the edge. Josh Sweat, I expect him to keep going. Jeremiah Trotter, I expect him to be a good linebacker. Devin White's going to command that back end. Cooper DeJean, the back end, no, the linebacking core. Cooper DeJean, I expect him to be a good corner. He could be a great corner, but right now I expect a good corner. And then Quinyon Mitchell, I expect to have I don't want to say like a Sauce or a Reek Woolen type of season, but I expect him to be really, really good. His first season. He just has everything you need at the cornerback position. So I expect big things from this team, man, honestly. I don't see why they couldn't be. They could be number 1 seed in the NFC. If 49ers stumble, I understand. Or even maybe the Packers. I don't know. Maybe the Lions. You see, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? But when we get to those divisions, we'll talk about those. But as for the Eagles, I think that overall, this is served up on a platter. I mean, it cannot get easier than this. It really can't. You have turmoil in Dallas. You have no idea what the Giants are going to be. You do have to watch out for the Giants' defense. They have a legit nice 1-2 there with Brian Burns and Kayvon Thibodeau and Sexy Dexy in the middle. But, for Dallas, got to watch out for Micah. But that offensive line, I think, will be a little weaker this year. They don't have a legit running back. CeeDee's unhappy. Dak is not that guy, so if you put pressure on him, you can do some things. Washington's the only wild card for me offensively. Defensively, I'm not sure because they got rid of everybody, so it's basically a new team. I do like Dan Quinn. I love Cliff Kingsbury for Jaden Daniels. I've been liking what I've seen in the preseason, although it's preseason, but I've been liking the way he's throwing the ball and what are they running. But for the Philadelphia Eagles, I think this is a cakewalk. This should be a cakewalk. They should be like this all season. All season. And the division should be like this. Now, when they get into the playoffs, the Philadelphia Eagles have to be like this. But this if there is what I call a stinker of a division, it's between this one. It's between this one or the I believe, no, not the South. No, the NFC. Yeah, the NFC South. Those are the two divisions that I could see just hilarious, just awful football. Awful football. The East, just because the NFC East just has, to me, just the Philadelphia Eagles as what you would say a lock, 10-win team. I think they'll win more, definitely more than that if they're healthy. If we go to the Giants, Daniel Jones, what is he going to be? What I've seen in preseason, it's going to be Malik Neighbors and pray. That is what I'm seeing. I'm seeing Malik Neighbors and pray and defense, please get us off the field. I don't see a lot of scoring in their future, and I feel bad for Malik Neighbors that he has to endure that. Dayball is on a hot seat, and he shouldn't be. He's a great coach. But when you don't have the quarterback, it's going to affect you. You know what I'm saying? It's going to affect you, and it's not fun. It's not fun, especially as a New York Giants fan, even though you guys have the worst field imaginable, said by every NFL player ever. Meadowlands stinks. So many injuries there. But at the same time, there is some hope. Maybe Daniel Jones wakes up. Maybe with Malik Neighbors, he gets a little bit more swag. A little bit more pizzazz. You know what I'm saying? Like, maybe a little bit more oomph. You know what I'm saying? A little bit more. I want that. You know, like, throw it when, you know, even it doesn't, he looks covered, but let him go get it. Malik Neighbors looks damn good. Like I said he would when he got drafted. All right, Dallas. So, shout out to all my Dallas supporters out there. What you're about to hear, you might not like, but I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to not even be controversial. I'm here to state facts, okay? And the fact is that the Dallas Cowboys this year are a borderline 8-win team, okay? And if we look at the schedule, if I look at this schedule, versus the Browns, you got to face that defense. Once again, don't know if CeeDee's going to play. We don't know yet. He hasn't done anything. Okay? Who knows what Deshaun is? We haven't seen him, so we won't know until week 1, I believe. Against the Saints, maybe. Depending on how Derek Carr is. It is at home. The Browns is in Cleveland. Against the Saints, maybe. Okay? At home. The Ravens, you're losing. Not just only losing, you're getting whooped. Badly. Okay? Badly. It's one of these. A laugher. Okay? You got no shot against the Ravens. The Giants, there you go. A free one, just like last year. Just a free one. Now, if Daniel Jones got a little bit of confidence with Malik Neighbors, watch out. Watch out. If that defense is playing well, watch out. I'm just saying. Against the Steelers, that's a toss-up. Bad offense versus horrible management. You know, it's going to be the Steelers probably on defense that get it done. TJ Watt, most likely. Okay? The Lions, whooped. Barbecue chicken. Barbecue chicken, okay? 49ers, destroyed. Annihilated, wiped off the face of the earth. Another laugher. You're looking up at the sky thinking, what happened? Concussed. Against the Falcons, I think you're losing. I think you're losing because not only did they just add Matthew Judon and added Justin Simmons to Bates and, you know, who they got on the defensive side. I like Kirk. I like Bijan. I like Drake London. I like Kyle Pitts. I like that. I like that offensive line. I like the guy behind the headset. I like Raheem Morris. You know, as a coach, I've seen him since seen him grow, seen him win a Super Bowl as an assistant with the Rams. So, right there in Atlanta, I think you're losing that. Against the Eagles, you're losing. Even if it's at home, doesn't matter. You're losing unless the Eagles come to play the Cowboys how they always play the Cowboys, and, you know, that's tough. Texans, losing. Possibly one of these. Possibly. CJ could be absolutely on Monday Night Football. Possible cooking. Not even possible. Most likely cooking. You're going Stephon Diggs, Nico Collins, Tank Dell, Joe Mixon, C.J. Stroud, Laramie Tunsil, Daniil Hunter, Will Anderson, Derek Stingley Jr., who looks really good, by the way. Yeah. I don't think so. D'Amico Ryans, Bobby Slowick. I don't think so. I think you're losing at home. Commanders. This deep into the season, Jaden could be playing great football. Jaden could be playing great football at this point of the season. Okay, so I wouldn't put it past him. Against the Giants, another win. This is by the time they're probably giving up on everything. Against the Bengals, you're losing, especially if Joe Burrow is healthy. You're losing. Okay? Against the Panthers, you're winning. Another win. I've only counted like 4 wins so far. Bucks, possible win. Possible. If Baker Mayfield is struggling or has struggled or anything like that, possible win. Eagles again in Philadelphia. Loss. And then at home versus the Commanders, possible win. Maybe not even playing for anything at all, you guys. That's what I think about the Cowboys. I'm sorry, Chris. That's shout out to Machete, my cousin. He's a Cowboys fan. Yeah, this year it's not looking too good. Okay? If we go back to the Philly and we go look at their schedule versus the Packers is going to be a battle. Packers can win, but it's in Philly, so I'm going to go with Philly. Falcons, another offensive battle. It's in Philly. I'm going to go Philly. Saints, they should win, even though they're on the road. Bucks, they should win. They're on the road. In Philly against the Browns, interesting, depending on how Deshaun is playing. Against the Giants should be a whooping. Disgusting. Against the Bengals, a war. The Bengals possibly win that game. They're at home. Jaguars, depending on how Trevor is playing, another war. Against the Cowboys, they should win no matter if it's on the road. But if the Eagles play like they always play the Cowboys, it'll be a close game. Commanders in Philly, I expect Philly to win. I don't see a problem with that. I think that in Philly, just with that crowd at the bank, I think it's too much for the Commanders. Against the Rams, another war, especially if Matthew Stafford is fully healthy. Against the Ravens, that's probably a loss there. At Baltimore, probably a loss. Against the Panthers at home, you should win. That should be easy. Against the Steelers at home, you should win. Going to Washington, you should win. Philly against the Cowboys, you should win. And then you should win against the Giants. This is, like I said, 10 to 11 win team. Okay? Let's go to the Giants. Who are they facing? It's going to be rough. Vikings, you're losing. No matter if it's Sam Darnold, you're losing. Commanders, you're possibly losing. I think that Jaden Daniels has the advantage not only at home, but as a quarterback. Against the Browns, if that offense cannot move that football, you are putting everything on that defense, and that defense will break eventually unless Deshaun is playing like absolute trash. Against the Cowboys, you're losing. It's at home. Maybe Daniel Jones builds something, but, I think you're losing that one. Against the Seahawks, you're losing, especially over there. Against the Bengals, you're getting mollywopped. Against the Eagles, you're getting mollywopped. Steelers, that might be a 3-3. That might be 3-0. That might be 7-0. It might be 7-3. Who knows who's starting for the Steelers at that time. Against the Commanders again. Maybe you win at home. Against the Panthers, you should win. You should win unless Bryce unlocks something. Against the Buccaneers, battle. I think the Bucs got you, though. I like the offense better. Against the Cowboys, you're losing unless you're playing well. Against the Saints, you're possibly losing. I think Derek can throw, especially if Derek is healthy. Chris Olave, everybody's healthy. I think they can win. Against the Ravens, you're getting mollywopped. Against the Falcons, you're losing. Against the Colts, I believe you lose. And against the Eagles again at the bank, you're losing. Another tough season for the Giants. Commanders. Let's start with the roster. Jaden Daniels has a real possibility to win Rookie of the Year. A real possibility. And when I mean a real possibility, I think I like him over Caleb. That's just me. Listen, you could battle me in the comments all you want. I'll listen to everything, and I have them close. But I would not be surprised if with a guy like Cliff Kingsbury, Jaden Daniels comes out cooking. I would not be surprised. I'm just saying. Okay? So Jaden McDaniels, that's one. The second thing, Brian Robinson Jr., pretty good running back. And then De'Ami Brown. It would probably be De'Ami Brown, Jahan Dotson, Luke McCaffrey, and Terry McLaurin. I expect to be the top four. Followed by probably, I would say, Jamison Crowder. If not, Martavius Bryant, if he shows anything in camp. But I think it should be Terry, Luke McCaffrey, the rookie, maybe Byron Pringle, maybe. Oh, and Olamide Zaccheaus. So Terry, Olamide Zaccheaus, Jahan Dotson, De'Ami Brown, and Luke McCaffrey. And possibly Byron Pringle. That's what I think they should go with. And then Zach Ertz, hopefully he's fully healthy this year and doesn't get hurt. Cole Turner's pretty good still. Ben Sinnott is pretty good that they just drafted. And then on defense, I need Khalid Farrell to make an impact, Dante Fowler Jr. to make an impact, John Baptiste to make an impact. Jonathan Allen's going to make his impact. I don't got to worry about him. Jerzon Newton, right next to Jonathan Allen or on the outside. I expect him to make a big impact. Deron Payne, same thing. I expect him to be a mauler on the ground game. The back end is where it's gonna fall. Emmanuel Forbes, I'm expecting a bigger leap from you. Iboga Manemini, the guy that he used to play for the Dolphins, I expect a big leap from you. Mike Sanders still, I expect him to be really good. Benjamin St. Juste, Jeremy Chin, I expect you to be good. Yeah. So Commanders, let's go through that schedule. What is it looking like? Okay. What are we looking at? Commanders, Buccaneers. I'm going to go with the Buccaneers there. Just the first game of Jaden Daniels. This is on the road in Tampa. It's going to be hot. He's played at LSU, so I don't have to worry about that, and Arizona State. But I think Baker, with the experience, gets it done. Against the Giants, you should win. I believe that Jaden Daniels is a better quarterback than Daniel Jones right now. So with people on your defense and being at home, you should win that. Against the Bengals, you're losing. Too much firepower. Against the Cardinals, I think you're losing, but it's going to be a good game. I think it's just going to be a sling fest, back and forth. Marvin Harrison Jr. and Jaden Daniels. It's going to be that show. Kyler to Marvin and Jaden to Terry McLaurin. I think that's what it's going to be. But I'm going to give Kyler the nod on that one. Against the Browns, you're losing because of that defense. Against the Ravens, you're getting destroyed. Against the Panthers, you're winning for sure, and you're at home. Against the Bears, it's 1 versus 2, and I think 2 gets it done, although I need to see how 1 is playing at that time. If Caleb is playing out of his mind, I might change my pick, but it is in Washington, and I expect Jaden Daniels by this point to definitely be in a rhythm. So it's going to be a good game regardless. Against the Giants in New York, you're winning that. Against the Steelers in Washington, you should win that. You have more offense. Against the Eagles, you're losing. Against the Cowboys, you might win that, especially if you're clicking. Against the Titans, it's against Will Levis. That's going to be another throw fest to D-Hop and Calvin Ridley, Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson. That's going to be a throw fest, but I think the Titans got you there slightly. Against the Saints on the road, It's going to be a good game. You have the possibility to win. But it all depends on how the Saints are playing at that point. Against the Eagles, you're losing, even though you're at home, unless you play your best game of the season. Against the Falcons, you could have a shoot off, but I think the Falcons get you in your home turf. And then against the Cowboys, the last game of the season, I believe that you should win that game with everything that you have done this season, and the Cowboys being a distraught mess from what I see. So anywhere from 6 to 10 wins. I mean, if you get 9 wins, you are pretty good start for a rookie quarterback and a brand new resetting organization from ownership down. So I expect you not to be last this year, possibly second in the division. So I see it Philly, the division. I see Philly, Washington, Dallas, Giants. Dallas still has enough talent to be third, and the Giants just can't get their head out of their own ass. So that's what I think about the NFC East. The AFC East. Let's start by saying this is going to be an absolute fireworks show, okay? This is going to be boom, beam, bomb, boom every week. Okay, every week, except for one team. We'll get there. The Jets. What do the Jets have to prove? Will Aaron Rodgers work? Will Aaron Rodgers, Breece Hall, and Garrett Wilson work? Not only work, well, can it prosper? Not only prosper, can it be the backbone of a legit number 1 defense in the NFL on the other side? Can a defense that only allows 17 to 20 points a game get enough offense from a first ballot Hall of Fame quarterback in his 40s and a stacked offense? And can the offensive line finally figure their ass out? If that answer is a no, Robert Saleh is getting fired. Plain and simple. This is the last year for Robert Saleh. If they don't do anything, they have to make the playoffs and at least win a playoff game for him not to get fired. I think that's the bare minimum. If Aaron Rodgers gets hurt, he's fired. If Garrett Wilson gets hurt and their season goes down the tank, he's fired. If Breece Hall goes down and their season goes down the tank, he's fired. If the offensive line doesn't work, he's fired. And if the defense is not as good as last year, he's fired. Now, I don't think that will happen, but it is possible. So for the Jets, can Aaron Rodgers, Breece Hall, and Garrett Wilson stay healthy the whole season or the majority of the season for this team to actually make a push? Second thing, will the drama stop? Will the Hassan Reddick drama stop? Will the Nathaniel Hackett doesn't know what he's doing on offense, will that stop? Will the Jets being the Jets in the sense of outside of football, outside the lines, because the thing on the field could be great, especially with who they have, but outside of football, can they get it straightened out? That's the questions. The roster, as I said, pretty stacked. Pretty stacked. Aaron Rodgers, Breece Hall. You also have Braylon Allen, the kid from USC. From Wisconsin, excuse me. He's really good. He looks really good. Xavier Gibson, Malachi Corley, Alan Lazard. You have Malik Taylor. You have Mike Williams, but he's on the IR right now still. Garrett Wilson, Tyler Conklin, Anthony Ferkser, Jeremy Ruckert. Okay? And then Olu Fashanu. What's that rookie going to do on the offensive line? Is he going to be good? Can he fix Elijah Vera Tucker? Stay healthy. This is Morgan Moses. Stay healthy. Tyron Smith. Will he be the savior at left tackle at 33 years old and a bunch of back injuries? Will McDonald need a jump from you this year? Okay? Hassan Reddick need you to show up to camp, to something. Solomon Thomas need you to be good. Eric Watts need you to be good. Javon Kinlaw in a new team need you to be good. Quinnen Williams, I know he's going to be good. Quincy Williams, I know is going to be good. Jermaine Johnson, you have to become the number one. If Hassan Reddick is not going to be there, you have to become the number one pass rusher. CJ Mosley, I know what he's going to do. Don't have to worry about him. Don't have to worry about Quincy. Brandon Eccles, Sauce Gardner, got to be who he got to be. That's it. Nothing changes with him. You know? But Jalen Key, are you going to play a good safety? Let's run it. Let's see what we got. 49ers at home. Monday, first Monday night game of the NFL season is Jets 49ers. You're losing. You're losing. You're not prepared to face that team. That team is ravenous to get back to the Super Bowl. Okay? They are going to stop at nothing week one to dominate you offensively, defensively. Kyle Shanahan's going to come with a game plan so diced up you won't see what's coming. The only thing you can hope for is your defense. Because that defense will get through that offensive line, and I promise you, Aaron Rodgers, they did not do him a labor of service putting this game as his first game back from an Achilles tear. I'm just saying. You're losing that. Jets against Titans. This is where it starts getting interesting. This is where having Aaron Rodgers makes it interesting. Okay? I believe you can win that game, even though you're on the road in Nashville. I believe that you work the kinks out. Aaron Rodgers starts clicking with Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall. That defense is not as crazy as the one you just faced, and I think that you can win that game. However, every team that faces the 49ers, they lose the next week. It's almost 100% guaranteed because of how physical the 49ers are, so keep that in mind. Against the Patriots in New York, you're destroying them. This will be a showcase of the Aaron Rodgers of old, of the Garrett Wilson of the future, of the Breece Hall of the future. That defense is going to eat 3-4 sacks. Okay? This will be a massacre, an absolute. It's going to be sad for Patriots fans. Be prepared. That's a win. Against the Broncos and Bo Nix, that is a win. I believe that you don't have the coaching advantage because of Sean Payton, but I believe you have the quarterback advantage with Aaron Rodgers, and you have the better receivers and the better offensive core. So I believe you get that game. Against the Vikings, you do get that game. No J.J. McCarthy, depending on Sam Darnold is playing with J.J., with Jordan Addison. I believe that your defense is much better than that offense. I believe you should win on the road because Aaron Rodgers is playing well. Against the Bills, an absolute shootout. Bills win, though, in your house. How could you could say Velez, but how? But like Aaron Rodgers and everything. Yeah, but this is Josh Allen. Okay? So it's going to come down to an offensive line. Whose offensive line can stop the other defensive line? And what I've seen on the defensive line of the Buffalo Bills this preseason is pretty good. Okay? It's pretty good. Josh Allen's going to put up points. You know this. So it all depends on how the Jets are playing, and they're playing at home. They don't want to get embarrassed. It's on a Monday night. Against the Steelers should be an absolute massacre. There shouldn't be any trace left of Steeler on the field. Okay? The only thing that could stumble you is their defense. And then by this time, if your offensive line is not figured out, you are already down the toilet. So I am putting my trust in that fact that that offensive line is working. And Aaron Rodgers deals against the Steeler defense. And you know what the Jets defense is going to do to this Steeler offense. It's going to be absolutely atrocious. A murder show. Against the Texans, I see a very, very competitive game, but I think CJ ekes it out. I believe in CJ's team a little bit more. I think that CJ has a little bit more on offense. Garrett Wilson, yes. Breece Hall, yes. But CJ Stroud also has Nico Collins, Stephon Diggs, Tank Dell, Joe Mixon, Laramie Tunsil. I think the Texans, I have the Texans very high this season, so I rate them very high. So I think that the Texans, even though they're in New York, I believe that they get that game. Against the Cardinals and Kyler Murray, possibly a massacre in one or two ways. This could be an absolute shootout where, because you have Aaron Rodgers, you probably will win. Also, this can actually be a literal just massacre the other way. Like, the Jets just destroy the Cardinals offensively and defensively, especially defensively. So I think the Jets get that win, even though they're on the road. Colts, Jets. AR5 is all about AR5. How's he doing? Is he playing well? If he's not, the Jets can get this win as well. Against the Seahawks in New York, this is basically 2 home games in a row, one against the Colts and the other one against the Seahawks. Depending how the Seahawks are playing, if it's Sam Howell at this point or still Geno Smith, I have the Seahawks kind of in the mid-tier this year, but I think that they can very well improve. I think it's a good game, but the Jets do have the edge. Against the Dolphins, I think the Dolphins win this game. Listen, I don't care if you have Sauce Gardner. You still have to cover Tyreek. You still have to cover Jalen Waddle. It's another year, another offseason for Tua. He got paid. He looks better. I think he's going to be more athletic this year. Back to Alabama Tua when he was moving around and slinging it. I have the Dolphins at home. Against the Jaguars, you should win because you have Aaron Rodgers. But depending on how Trevor Lawrence has played this season is how it's going to dictate that game late in the season, probably for playoff contention. I'm going to give it to you guys. I'm going to give it to Aaron Rodgers against the Jaguars. Against the Rams will be a battle. I think the Rams get you, though, even though you are at home. I think the Rams get you. I think Stafford, if he's healthy, with Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua, with Kyron Williams, will have enough offensively to stave off your offense. Unless, like I said, this is all barring on the fact that nobody gets hurt on the Jets and also that the Nathaniel Hackett offense works. Because right now, we don't know if it works. Okay? We haven't seen it with Aaron Rodgers after 2021. Finally, versus the Bills, you're losing that one. It's in Buffalo, cold. You're losing that. And against the Dolphins in New York, cold. I think you guys win that, possibly for a playoff spot, so it's going to be big. So, yeah, you have anywhere from a 7-win to 11 to 12-win team, which is, right around the area where you have an Aaron Rodgers, and that's where you expect to be. But there's a lot of questions. Okay. Miami. Listen, I'm a Miami Dolphin fan. We're not going to make this all hoopla about Miami can win. We're going to be true. Tua, I expect to be better than last year, and he was really good last year. Last year, he couldn't move outside the pocket. I think this year he does move outside the pocket, gets back to the Alabama Tua before the hip injury, and we get some outside the pocket throws to Tyreek and Jalen Waddle on broken plays or bootlegs. Rolling out the pocket if it gets too congested, using his legs a little bit to get first downs. Still slide, though. But I think that Devon Achane is going to be is going to end up as our number one running back. I know that we're probably starting Raheem Mostert. No shade there. He had 21 touchdowns last year. But I think at 32 years old, you think you go with the 22-year-old 4-3 phenom out of Texas A&M. I think we're going to run the ball just as effectively as we did last year. The zone scheme is going to work. We're going to open lanes. Odell Beckham Jr., I expect him to be a solid number 3. What I mean by that, he will get targets every game. I don't think, especially if he's healthy, I don't think that they'll keep him out of the offense. I think he will get targets every game to keep everybody honest. River Craycraft, I think, is for sure staying on the team. Braxton Berrios possibly. Eric Ezukama should stay on the team. We have Reek. We don't have to worry about that. We also have Jalen Waddle. We don't have to worry about that. We also have Malik Washington as well from Virginia. He's a rookie as well. So I think overall, that's on offense. We have to find Teron Armstead has to stay healthy because we need a left tackle. Liam Eichenberg is good. Isaiah Wynn has to keep playing well. Calais Campbell, I expect you to be some type of plug in the interior. You don't have to be Christian Wilkins. I know that you're 37. I understand. I'm not asking that of you. What I'm asking of you is just plug the run game. Okay? Benito Jones, Isaiah Mack, Leonard Payne Jr., Brandon Pilley, Zach Sealer, another plug. Need you in there. Bradley Chubb needs to get healthy. Mohamed Kamara, I'm expecting you to be good in your rookie year. Emmanuel Agba, I expect you to be somewhat reliable. Jalen Phillips, I expect you to be a superstar. There's no reason that you should not have at least 12 to 15 to possibly trying to go for that sack crown this year. You have the talent. You just went over a crazy injury. I know that you want to get back there and destroy, so I expect at least a 12 sack season from you this upcoming season. Same thing for Chop Robinson. There's no reason that he should come out and not have at least 5 sacks. And that is on the small side. Channing Tindall, I expect you to be good at linebacker. Same thing with Anthony Walker. Isaiah Johnson, Nick Needham, Jalen Ramsey, I expect you to be insane. Cam Smith, I'm expecting a jump from you. We're all expecting a jump from you. Javon Holland, I expect you to be in your all-pro form. Marcus May, I expect you for the big hits. Jordan Poyer, I expect you to be the captain of that back end. If we go to the scores or the season, against the Jaguars, we should win. We're at home. Florida versus Florida, we should win that game. It probably is going to be a high-scoring affair, but I believe that McDaniel is going to come out guns blazing that first game. Against the Bills, week 2, at home, Thursday, on Prime Video. We can win this game. We can lose this game. We're at home. I think we win. The humidity, we have that on our side. I think that we come off a good performance versus the Jaguars, and we keep it going at home. Versus the Seahawks, we should win, even though it's in the it's over there in Seattle. It's at 4:05. It's not in a blizzard. I expect us to win that game. We have the better team. The Titans, we should win that game. We should be realistically 4-0 going to week 5 against the Patriots in Foxborough. We win that game. It should be 6-0, okay? It should be 5-0. Versus the Colts, we should win 6-0. Okay, even though we're on the road in Indy, we should win that game. Cardinals, we should win 7-0. Guys, listen to me. This is what it should be. We should win against the Bills. If we don't win against the Bills, at worst, we should be 6-1 heading to back home to the Cardinals. So we go on a road trip after. So we go home, away, home, away, home. Okay? So we should be, realistically, we could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7-0 heading to Buffalo against the Bills at their house in week 8, okay? Now, this game will be tough because it's in Buffalo. You know, you're talking about November in Buffalo. It's probably going to be cold. This is where our stretch starts. So against the Bills, we probably lose there. We're not undefeated. The next week, we go against the Rams. I believe we win that game in SoFi. Okay, I believe we can win that Rams game. Against the Raiders, we should win at home. Against the Patriots, we should win at home. Against the Packers, is going to be interesting. because Jordan Love could be playing MVP football at this point. So can Tua. We're in Green Bay. It's November 28th. I think we lose that game because of the cold. Against the Jets at home, we win. Texans, Dolphins, probably most likely for what could be the number 1 or number 2 seed in the conference at this point. We're in Houston. I think that's to our detriment. I think that Houston beats us there. 49ers at home, we can win that game. We can win that game. It's at home in December. It's not going to be that hot. Master versus pupil with Shanahan and McDaniel. I think we lose that game, though. I think the 49ers are going to be heading to a number 1 seed, especially after that win. Browns in Cleveland, we should win that game. And at the Jets to finish out the season, January 5th, we should annihilate them. Realistically, guys, this should be a 14-3 season. Losses to maybe the Bills, possibly the Rams, possibly the Packers, the Texans, and the 49ers. 13-4. 13-4 is what I see. But it can also go the different way. It could also go, we could get hurt. Tua might not be what we think he is. But I tend to be positive, and I think that we're going to be really good this year. So 13-4, 12-5, 14-3. That's what we're looking at as Dolphins fans, okay? Next, we go to it's basically proven if it was a fluke. If last year was a fluke. That's what we're proving. Can Tua be that guy? We gave him the money. Now can he prove to play up to that level of that contract? Next, Buffalo. Plain and simple. Can you win the big one? You've made it there. Not the Super Bowl. Can you win? Can you beat Mahomes? Can you beat Mahomes? Oh, and was Stephon Diggs the key to your offense? That's it. That's all. That's all. Josh Allen, you know what I'm saying? Frank Gore Jr., I expect him to be pretty good. Because Ray Davis, I expect to be pretty good. James Cook is going to be the starting running back. I expect him to be pretty good. Keon Coleman is going to be probably their number 1 receiver at the end of the year. The guy that's probably going to take most of the stuff early, Curtis Samuel, Khalil Shakir, I could see. Marquez Valdez-Scantling, maybe. Dalton Kincaid. Sleeper in fantasy. Dalton Kincaid. I'm telling you right now. Okay, he's going to be probably their offense. He's going to be essentially their Travis Kelce. Okay? If we go to the defense, AJ Epinesa needs to be absolutely incredible. Kingsley Jonathan, Greg Rousseau, Dwayne Smoot, Javon Solomon, Dwayne Carter, Daquan Jones, Ed Oliver, Terrell Bernard. They lost Matt Milano. Again, Von Miller, is he going to go back to some type of elite form? We'll see. Baylon Spector, I expect you to be a good linebacker. Olufisho from Washington, the rookie. I expect him to be a good a decent linebacker. Same thing with Christian Bedford. If we go to the back end, Kyrie Elam, I expect another jump from you. Mike Edwards, DeMar Hamlin, I expect you to go back to how you were playing before, your heart thing happened. So, yeah, let's go through that schedule and see what we got. Let's see what we got. Against the Cardinals, you're whooping them, especially at home. Whooping them. That's not even a question. Against the Dolphins, you're losing. In Miami, you're losing. Against the Jaguars, you're winning. At your house. Against the Ravens, you're losing. Against the Texans, you're losing. This is all on the road, by the way. This is at Baltimore, at Houston. I just think that those teams are just better than the Bills at this point. Against the Jets, you're winning, even though it's in New York. Against the Titans, good game. I think the Bills get it. Against the Seahawks, good game. I think the Seahawks, because they're at home, get that one. At your house against the Dolphins, you win that. You win against the Colts. You lose against the Chiefs at your house. I think so. You lose against the 49ers at your house. I think so. Versus the Rams is going to be a hell of a battle, but I think you can get it done in SoFi. I think that you can get it done in SoFi. Versus the Lions, I think you're losing in Detroit. The Patriots, you're winning at home for sure. You're winning at home against the Jets, and you're winning at home against, again, at the Patriots this time. You're winning. 9 to 11 wins. Second seed. That's what I see. That's what I see until I see further notice. That's what I see right now. I don't have the conviction of putting them the number one team in this division. I think that they're going to battle for that number 2 spot in the wild card coming out of this conference with the Jets. That's my personal opinion. I think Miami is the best team in this division. Let's get to last, but certainly not least, or, for us Dolphins fans, probably least, because nobody's there from the dynasty. The Patriots. Let's start with, you have a doo-doo roster. Jacoby Brissett is your QB1. Drake May might take him over more sooner than later, possibly might start. You have Joe Milton as a backup. I believe that's going to be your backup, not Bailey Zappi. Your running back, Antonio Gibson, will probably be your number 1 with Ramondre. Your number 1 receiver is Kendrick Bourne. You're hoping for something from Kayshon Boutte. You're hoping a little bit more jump from Demario Douglas. Jalen Hurd. KJ Osborne. Maybe he turns into your number 1. A possible number 1 receiver is Jalen Polk, rookie out of Washington. Jalen Reagor trying to resurrect his career. Tyquan Thornton still running a 4.2 and probably pulling his hamstrings, unfortunately. Austin Hooper and Hunter Henry. Okay? Austin Hooper and Henry. All right, on defense, you have Keon White. I like him. Dietrich Wise. I like him. Christian Barmore, probably not playing. Blood clot. Still haven't heard anything. Devon Godshaw. Expect him to have a good season. Past there. That's it. Besides Christian Gonzalez. Okay? And Joshua Uche. That's it. Maybe Jonathan Jones. Maybe some Kyle Duggar. Jabril Peppers. That's it. If we go to this schedule, this is going to be ugly. Okay? This is going to be ugly. I'm just telling you right now. Bengals losing. Murdered. Seahawks losing. Murdered. Doesn't matter if you're at home. You're getting murdered. The Jets in New York. You're getting murdered. 49ers are annihilating you off the face of the earth. The Dolphins in Foxborough. You're losing. Versus the Texans, annihilated. The Jaguars, maybe if there's some faulty issues with the Jaguars, but I think you lose that game, especially in Jacksonville. Versus the Jets at your house, you're losing. Most likely, you're losing. Titans, close game, but I think you lose. You don't have the offensive firepower. Versus the Bears, Caleb is going to do everything to you. He's going to destroy you. That defense is pretty good, too. Versus the Rams, you're losing. Versus the Dolphins at home, you're losing. Versus the Colts, you might win with that defense, but I still think your offense is lacking. Versus the Bills at the Bills, you're losing. Versus the Chargers, doesn't matter if you're at home, you're losing. And versus the Bills again, you're losing. You are looking at a 4-win season, if that. You're winning at. And I'm saying this maybe. Maybe at the Jaguars. Maybe at the Titans. Maybe at the Bears. Maybe at the Colts. Maybe against the Cardinals. Everything else you're losing. So the best you can get is 5-win season. They are that garbage this year, okay? Garbage. Pool water. Okay? If they somehow squeak by with 7 or 8 wins, I will be amazed. I feel bad for Gerard Mayo. I saw him play, love him as a player when he played for the Patriots. This guy got a bad deal. Okay? He's going to start with Drake May very early, and it's going to be some growing pains along with some flashes. That's what I see. Okay, that's the AFC, the NFC, and the AFC East. Next, to finish up, some Steelers ranting, some Steelers roasting. Guys, we have made it here once again. I'm just going to do a light roast because, we still have to do the AFC North, and we'll definitely roast them then. But what I've seen in preseason with Justin Fields and now with Russell Wilson, I don't think that you are going to be very good, okay? You guys aren't going to be very good. You are putting your life, hope, prayers, and soul into TJ Watt. That is what you're doing. That is your whole season. Your whole season is TJ Watt, please. That is what it is. Plain and simple. Don't cookie cutter it. Don't think that it changes. Don't think that it's different. That is all it is. It is Mike Tomlin and TJ Watt. Save us. Russell Wilson looks slow, lethargic, can't move, barely can make throws, and Justin Fields can't make a middle field throw to save his life. He can make the outside throw, but he can't make the 10-yard in cut, which you need for first downs. I'm sorry. But as of right now, until further notice, you couldn't get Ayuk. I don't think you're getting him. Ayuk is staying with the 49ers. He started practicing again. You're losing. You're losing a lot. Versus the Bengals, you're losing. You're losing versus the Ravens. The Browns, if they brown, maybe. If they brown, maybe. But if Deshaun Watson's playing any type of good and Nick Chubb comes back with Myles Garrett on the other side, I don't see it very, very pretty for you in that picture. Yeah, I think you guys are gonna suck, and it's gonna come down to your defense. Honestly, maybe you guys can run the ball a little bit, but once people fill the box and you can't throw, and that goes out the window, it's gonna be tough. Feel bad for Dan Quinn. For Arthur Blank, but he's probably not going to throw to George Pickens. He's probably not going to throw to Freiermuth. He's going to pick other people to throw to. Probably Jaylen Warren would be the biggest star in this team. Or Van Jefferson. But that's what I think about the Steelers. Lastly, some Twitter bookmarks that I have put, based on what has happened the last few days. And we'll finish up with MLB because it is racy right now in the MLB. Let's see. So Jaden Daniels got named a starter. Obviously, we were expecting that. We were expecting that. On the MLB front, Austin Riley broke a fracture in his right hand from getting hit by a pitch last night. He's out 6 to 8 weeks, so that basically dampens the Braves' chances of anything. Tarek Skubal, like I've been saying, Cy Young probably in the AL, probably locked up at this point. 5.8 WAR, he's the first amongst pitchers. Against all AL qualifiers. That means against pitchers and offense, I believe. So that he might be. No, I think it's pitchers because Aaron Judge, I think, has more WAR. 2.8 ERA. That's first. 2.9 FIP. That's first. And 10.7 K per 9. That's also first. Yeah, this is a Cy Young, and he's running away with it, and the odds say so. Let's see here. Other than that, It is a lot of baseball in here. Salvin Ahmed has been released by the Dolphins. We have too much running back depth. That was gonna happen. The Bills are out. Mitchell Trubisky, Marquez Valdez-Scantling with a neck, Quentin Morris at tight end with a shoulder, and then considered week to week, DeMar Hamlin with the hamstring and Curtis Samuel with turf toe. Who knows if they make it to the season, but they're not playing this week. Max Duggan got released from the Chargers now that Justin Herbert's back from the plantar fascia. And other than that, I believe that's about it. I think there was a couple more injuries, but other than that, Patriots and ex-Patriot, ex-Cowboy Stephon Gilmore to join the Vikings. I think that's a good 1 year, $10 million for the former Defensive Player of the Year. I think it's a good signing for them. Good veteran with Harry Hitman back there in that room. And then on the NBA side, staying on the NFL, the Raiders, Antonio Pierce, he named Gardner Minshew, who started for week 1, so Aiden O'Connell couldn't win the job. So it's going to be Gardner Minshew for the Raiders. That changes things there. The 76ers are signing Olympic standout from France, Gershon Yabusele, to a 1 year, $2.1 million deal. I think he's going to outplay that contract pretty quick. I think he can be a good NBA player, if not, or a really good rotation player. JT Thor has agreed on a 2-way contract with the Cavaliers. He played for South Sudan and was with the Charlotte Hornets last year. Jackson Powers Johnson is off the PUP list. The rookie guard out of Oregon for the Raiders, so that would bolster their defense. And that's about it. Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah got a 3-year, $39 million, $25 million guaranteed deal with the Browns. Good. They keep their standout linebacker. All right, let's go to MLB to close out this wonderful episode. All right, so the standings is as follows. Baltimore and New York tied at the top of the AL East. Cleveland is up 2 games and 3 games on Minnesota and Kansas City. Okay. Houston is up 4 games. They've literally gone 9-1 the last 10 games and like 25 of 28 the last like 30 something games to fully take control of the AL West. Seattle has been nosediving because they cannot score. They have Julio back. He's been batting well, but he hasn't been hitting for power. And they cannot hit. They can pitch their ass off, but they can't hit. And Houston can hit, and that's without Kyle Tucker. Philly has a 7-game lead on Atlanta, and that's going to grow now that Austin Riley's gone, which basically leaves Matt Olson and Michael Harris by themselves with no Acuna and no Ozzy Albies and no Strider on the mound as well. I think that basically almost closes the door on Atlanta's wild card hopes and definitely division hopes. The Mets are 9 back. I think that they're just going for the wild card. Milwaukee's 11 games in front of St. Louis. They've been going off 7-3 in their last 10. They're running all over the bases. Jackson Churrio's playing great. William Contreras is back to his MVP form. Adames is hitting. Bryce Terang is hitting. They're pitching great. Tobias Myers, the rookie's pitching great. They're pretty locked into the AL Central right there. Everybody else is just chasing for the wild card. St. Louis, Chicago, and Cincinnati are literally, and even Pittsburgh, they're within 2.5 games, 3 games of each other. But we'll see when we get to the wild card how much that actually is behind the wild card. And then the Dodgers are just 3 games up on the Padres, 4 games up on Arizona. They kind of rebounded a little bit, 7-3 in their last 10. They have to keep rebounding. Ohtani's almost at a 40-40 season. He has 39 home runs, hit his 39th yesterday. Once he hits 40-40, it will be the first Dodger to ever do it, which is crazy that he's a DH. He's pitching next year, and he's running away with this NL MVP. San Diego's ahead in the wild card, so they're going to battle it. San Diego and Arizona, they're going to battle it out in the wild card because San Francisco's 10.5 games back. If we go to the wild card, it looks like this. The Yankees are 3.5 games up on Minnesota. Minnesota's 1 game up on KC. KC has the last spot and is 3.5 games up on Boston. If KC just keeps playing 65 to 70% ball with Bobby Witt going off, they can hold off and keep that third wild card spot. If they go off, they could possibly go to that first spot. Boston, Seattle are 3.5 and 5.5 games back. Tampa is 6.5 games back. Detroit is 8.5 games back, and that's where the conversation stops. And I think it doesn't even reach there. Probably Seattle at 5.5, or maybe Tampa at 6.5 is the best I can give you. Detroit, I love you with Scoobs and that lineup, but you're at 8.5 back. I don't think you're going to catch up, unfortunately. If we go to the National League, San Diego's 3.5 games up on Atlanta for the last spot. Arizona's 2.5 games up on Atlanta, and then the Mets are two games back. The Giants are 4 games back. St. Louis is 5 games back. Chicago's 5.5 games back. Cincinnati 6 games back. Pittsburgh is 7.5 games back, and that's where it stops. And I think it really stops at St. Louis or Chicago. Cincinnati really has to make a push to cover those 6 games to get back with Atlanta. Although that I believe they're going to fall, but the Mets have been playing great offense, and so have the Giants. Pittsburgh has to just pick it up the bat-wise. The pitching has been okay, but the bullpen has been giving away games. Just like Cincinnati, they need the bullpen to lock down and their pitchers to lock down. But it looks like it's going to be San Diego. It's going to be Arizona, and I would pick probably the Mets to come out in the National League as your last wild card. And if I had to pick in the American League, I think it actually stays like this. Minnesota's been playing well. The Yankees have been playing well. And Kansas City, I think that they make it in. So I think this is your lineup right here for the wild card. I think it stays like this, but there's 6 weeks left. It is a ton of baseball left to go. Bobby Witt is at 350 average. It is incredible. Do you know who's second? The AL MVP frontrunner Aaron Judge is at 331. Vladimir Guerrero bounces back his season, 317. Steven Kwan still above 300 at 316. Marcell Ozuna at 301, 309. Where is Shohei? He is. Oh my God. Even Jordan is over him. Luis, dang, he said I think he's in the 2s. No way, he hasn't dropped that much. Okay, so maybe because of he's at 290. Wow, he's dropped the last 10 games. It's been bad. He was at 310. Ohtani was. He's still hitting bombs, but 290 is not the batting average he likes. I'm pretty sure. If we go to hits, I mean, Bobby is incredible. Home runs 44 to 39. Shohei's at second, leading the NL. Judge is at 44. Marcell Ozuna's at 36. Anthony Santander at 36. Juan Soto at 34. Gunnar Henderson's at 33. Aaron Judge in RBIs, 111. Jose Ramirez, J-Ram, 100. Another 100 RBI season for J-Ram. Marcell Ozuna's at 93. He'll probably get there. Vinny Pasquantino's at 92. He'll get there. And Bobby Witt is at 91. He will also get to 100. So he will have at least 200. I think he's at 173 hits. He's over 22 hits above Vladdy Guerrero for second. which is tied with Luis Arias at 151, Vladdy and Luis. Jose Altuve is at 149, and Jalen Duran is at 148. And one of the other big boys, Aaron Judge, is at 145, so he's top 10, and Shohei's ninth at 140. So very, very competitive for the two presumed MVP winners there. Bobby Witt having 200 hits, over 100 RBIs, and possibly 30 home runs and 30 stolen bases and not getting MVP is absolutely incredible. Batting .350. That's how good Aaron Judge has been this year. Stolen bases, Ellie De La Cruz is at 59, so I think it's more realistic for him to get to 70. He's kind of slowed down. Shohei's at 37. He's going to get to that 40 number and have that 40-40 season. Yeah. And then pitching, you have Tarek Skubal with 14 wins, Chris Sale with 14 wins. Chris Sale, I believe, is your NL Cy Young winner. After much thought, him, Framber Valdez, Seth Lugo, but Chris Sale has been absolutely dominant. So I don't see why it can't be him. They're 1-2 in ERA. Helsley has 38 saves. Emmanuel Clase has 37. Josh Hader has 27, but he's like 11 behind. He's tied for fourth, and he's 11 behind Helsley. Strikeouts, Chris Sale leads Dylan Cease by 187 to 186, and Tarek Skubal's at 185. Garrett Crochet's at 176, and Cole Reagan's at 174. Chris Sale, Tarek Skubal, I mean, not much there. And then quality starts, Logan Gilbert still has 20. Corbin Burns has 19, but Tarek Skubal has 19. Zach Wheeler has 18. Seth Lugo has 17. How many does Chris Sale have? That would be an interesting caveat there. He's 17th in quality starts with 13, but it's not bad because he has everything else. So, yeah. Hellacious 6 weeks ahead of us in baseball. For awards, for playoffs, it's going to be great. I'm excited. Thank you guys for joining me in episode 131 of the Azek Talk podcast. I love you guys. God bless you. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Follow me on all my socials. Hit the comments. I love you guys, and I'll see you in the next one. I'll leave you with the outro. El vele,